Tuesday, February 6, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. It's midday London time or 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's been another rough overnight session for the markets. Right now, as I speak, the Dow is down 733 points, or 3% at 23,596. The low has been 23,110, so it was down over another 1,000 points overnight. And we touch right on the 200-day moving average, which is around 23,000. So quite interesting that it held that level. S&P down 65 or 2.5%. At 25.79, NASDAQ futures 63.68, down 122 or 2%. Currency-wise, the pound is weaker right now. It's down 0.25%, 139.22. The euro is unchanged, 123.66, and the dollar is a tad weaker against the yen at 108.95, down 12 pips. Gold and silver. Gold is done fairly well. It looks like they're capping it around 1344. The high has been around 1346.50 overnight. Right now we're at 1341.50, up about $2. Silver is up about 8 cents at 1680. It got up to a high of 17. The bond market, earlier this morning I looked at it, and actually the 10-year yield spiked from 270 to 275. Right now we've gone back down and we're at 269, but overnight actually tested almost tested that 263 level. We got down to just above 264, and don't forget, yesterday we were above we were at 288. So bond market's calming down a little bit, but still above key levels. What else is going on? Well, European markets are also getting hammered quite a lot. The FTSE is down 2.5%, or down 183. Overnight, the futures was down about 300 points. We broke through below 7,000 overnight. The DAX in Germany is down 300 points, 12,380, down 2.5%. And the other interesting stock, for example, that we should keep an eye on is Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank, for the last few years, has kind of held up. A year or two ago, it was in trouble, but right now, yeah, down 3% at 13 euros and 18. Interesting to keep an eye on Deutsche Bank. The other point about Deutsche Bank, they're one of the biggest lenders to the Trump organization. I think they've lent about $300 million to the Trump organization, the real estate empire. So what's going on here? Is this it? Is this the beginning of a big stock market crash that could last over a year? Don't forget, in 2008, the market topped in 2007. It took over a year and a half for it to come down. Are we just in the beginning? Is this just like a correction, and then we're gonna see the market stop going down and rebound, or is it something more serious? I personally think it's got nothing to do with what's going on in politics. I think people should forget about that. I think what this is all about is about the fact that central banks and their reckless policy of printing 21 trillion that we know in the last 10 years to buy bonds, to keep interest rates low, to rig the market, as Nomi Prince says. All that policy, there's no way out. And in her book, Collusion, I haven't read it, but she talks about it in the interview with Greg Hunter. She says that she visited the Central Bank of Brazil a few years ago, and talked to the people there, and one of them said that, and that was the thing that she, because he asked her a question, Greg Hunter, what would be the most interesting comment that you got from a central banker that you would never have thought they would make? And apparently the Brazilian central banker said to her, there is no way out of this, QE, low interest rates, negative interest rates. And I think whoever told her that is right. And this is what we're seeing. The Fed has been gradually raising interest rates from around 0.25%. I think we're now at a 1.5 or so. They've been announcing that they're going to gradually QT, or do the quantitative tightening, to allow their balance sheet to unwind. Right now it's at 4.5 trillion. We have seen very little unwind, but we're expected to see a lot of unwind from October this year, about 600 billion from October 18 to October 19, which is a fiscal year. And this hasn't even started, and we're already getting this. So in my opinion, this just goes to show that there is no way out. Well, there is a way out if they start unwinding. The Fed, the ECB, Bank of Japan, everything will collapse. Everything will implode. And if they don't start unwinding, and they keep this policy and even do more QE, it's all going to hyperinflate. That's my view. So very interesting. I know we've been talking about this for a few years, but I think the markets gave central banks the benefit of the doubt over these last decade, not decades, but this last decade, 10 years, because they came across as knowing what they're doing, the central bankers, and markets and investors trusted them. They thought that eventually they would be able to normalize policy, unwind their balance sheets, but I don't think they can. I mean, look at this. We haven't even started. Can you imagine when they actually start, if they start in October this year, really unwinding that balance sheet? It's going to be a disaster. And I think the signal for this was the fact that interest rates, especially the 10-year yield, started, has been rising quite a bit in the last few months, and we've broken through that 263 yield level. I know now it's come back down, but it's still above that level. Yeah, it's a big mess. Am I surprised? No, because I've read about monetary history. Things never change. The French tried to do it with the assignats and the money printing after the French Revolution in about the early 1790s. They thought, oh, we'll just print a little bit, and the economy will improve, and then the economy would improve, and they try to unwind, and they couldn't, so they just kept printing, and they did this for about 5 years. It didn't last as long as this experiment because only France was doing that. The rest of the world was not doing that. And then you go to Weimar Germany. They thought they could print and it wouldn't matter. And look what happened there. And they had a debt problem as well after World War I. Look at all the emerging market countries. Look at Brazil, how many currencies they've had over the last 60, 70 years. Look at Venezuela. Look at Zimbabwe. Why should the Fed, the ECB, the Bank of England, the SNB, the Bank of Japan, they're not immune to the laws of nature, to the laws of supply and demand? Because basically what they created is a lie. They've printed money. It's kind of alchemy. They think they can create gold out of thin air, actually. And that's what they've done. And now that they need to normalize their policy, it's impossible. So very interesting. One other thing I'd like to talk about is all the VIX related ETNs, short VIX, long VIX, or volatility. Apparently that market is completely broken down, and it's what some people think that's what was being used to manipulate the market higher, because people kept shorting the VIX, and when the VIX is going down, it means there's no danger and no volatility, so it gives a positive signal to investors. But apparently now this ETN, which is exchange traded notes, which is another big mistake dealing with the banks. I think Credit Suisse is one of the biggest riders of these contracts. This market looks like it's broken. I mean, I'm not going to go in detail, but we got headlines on Zero Hedge saying the vol market finally broke. A quant explains what happened to the market. Former Lehman trader, there's more pain to come for markets. VIX SVXY halted, news pending. So, yeah, and the other headline, termination event arrives. Traders panic as VIX disintegrates minus 90% after the close. This is the short VIX. I guess we just need to get the popcorn out and watch the markets unfold. Watch interest rates. Watch if there's any comments from central bankers or the administration. Very interesting days. Do I think they're going to go ahead in October with their unwind? I don't know. There's a lot going on, and a lot could happen from, now until then. Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin got below 6,000. It's now 6,500. Ethereum traded down to 569. It's now 629. LITECOIN got down to 106, it's 115. EOS got down to 574, it's now 661. Still, yeah, I'd rather be in cryptocurrencies and the blockchain technology. I think there's a lot of opportunity still. The stock market and the system, I don't know what's going to happen. So, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on steemit.com and on Twitter. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.